All right, everybody, welcome to Strong Start. First things first, have you signed in on the attendance tracker? Remember to sign in before you start each lesson. Go back to Google Classroom and click the attendance tracker if you need to do that now. All right, Strong Start 2020 Math, Lesson 6. Our objective is I can partition rectangles and circles into equal parts and name the parts as halves, thirds, and fourths. All right, mathematicians, I'm your host, Mrs. Hand, and let's get rocking and rolling today. We're going to start off by refreshing our brains about subtraction. Now remember that when we are doing subtraction, we need to start by analyzing our whole. And remember we did that last year. We started doing that using our magnifying glass, and we would take a deep look at that whole to make sure that it was set up and ready for subtraction. So looking here at our first problem, we have 161 and we are subtracting 18. Now, in order to do that, I need to think about each of my place value places to see if they're ready for subtraction. Here I have 1 in the ones place, and I'm going to need to be able to subtract 8 ones out of the ones place. So I'm not ready yet. I'm going to need to decompose a 10 into 10 ones. If I decompose one 10, I'll be left with 5 tens in the tens place, and I'm putting 10 ones into the ones place. There's already 1 here, so 10 ones and 1 go together to have 11 ones in the ones place. Now I have 11 ones in the ones place. I'm looking to subtract 8 ones. I have 5 tens in the tens place. I'm looking to subtract 1 10. I have 100 in the hundreds place, and I'm not planning to subtract any hundreds. So now I am ready for subtraction. I'm going to give you guys a moment to go ahead and work out this problem and the remaining 4 problems on your own, and then we'll come back to check our work. Remember to start by analyzing your whole to be ready to subtract. Good luck, mathematicians. See you in a moment. All right, welcome back. If you were not finished subtracting, go ahead and pause the video. If you are finished, let's check your work. So, if my slide would bounce on, let's see. Oops, that turn off there. There we go. Okay, if you take a look at each of the problems, we've shown how to analyze the whole, make sure that you've set up your whole for subtracting, and then check that you have the correct difference or answer for these subtraction problems. Take a moment to check your work. If you need to pause, please do so. If you need to go back and rework one of the problems, take your time to do that. And then we'll be moving on to our application problem after you check your work. All right, today's application problem, if you need more time, just pause the video. But today's application problem is Mrs. Lotharian's students are picking up tangram pieces. They collect 13 parallelograms, 24 large triangles, 24 small triangles, and 13 medium triangles. The rest are squares. If they collect 97 pieces in all, how many squares are there? Now, today's application problem's purpose is not only to help us practice our addition and subtraction, but it is also to help us start getting in the mindset of shapes, because today we're going to be moving into talking about shapes and partitioning or dividing shapes into equal pieces. So this application problem reintroduces the names of some of our shapes to us, some of our flat two-dimensional shapes. Okay, remember that we use RDW to solve our application problem. We're going to take a few moments, let you solve, and when we come back, we'll check our work together. right, mathematicians, if you are finished solving your application problem, then go ahead and continue with the video. If not, press pause and come back to us in just a moment. Here's one way to solve this problem. You'll notice that in our problem, the students collected 13 parallelograms, 24 large triangles, 24 small triangles, 13 medium triangles, and the rest were squares. So, setting that up as a number sentence, we have 13 parallelograms plus 24 large triangles plus 24 small triangles plus 13 medium triangles plus some number of squares that we don't know, which is equal to the 97 pieces they collected in all. So if we're trying to figure out how many were squares, one way to do this is to add together all of the other parts that we knew. So we knew 13, 24, 24, and 13. Now you'll see that the way I solved it was I combined the like numbers to make doubles. So 13 plus 13 is equal to 26, and 24 plus 24 is equal to 48. You do not have to do it that way. If you wanted to add like units and go 13 plus 24 and then add another 24 and add another 13, if that was efficient for your brain, then rock that way. It's a-okay. If your brain was stuck and you weren't sure, try this way. And let's just make sure that when you add all four parts together, you end up getting a total of 74 pieces of parallelograms and triangles. Now, that 74 doesn't quite give us our answer yet because we didn't want to know the total number of parallelograms and different sized triangles. We want to know the number of squares. So if we look at this tape diagram model here, we'll see that we have the 13, 24, 24, and 13 parts here, which we label as 74. Here's our missing part over here of squares, and our total is 97. So when we have this part, let's grab my writing tool here. I have this part is equal to 74. And when I add 74 to this part of squares, that's that number we don't know yet. If I add those parts together, it's going to give me the total of this whole bar, the total number of shapes, which we know is 97. So I could say 74 plus some number is equal to 97. Or if I want to pull the part out, that's what I did here. 97 minus the known part of 74 would lead us with our unknown part, which in this case, when you solve, should be 23. So the kids picked up 23 squares. Please make sure that you have answered with a number sentence and a word sentence that starts with a capital letter and ends with a period. It's very important that you're very clear about the answer to the problem. You don't want the person who's checking your work to be guessing about what your answer is. That's no good, especially after you did all that hard work. So make it very clear by writing your answer in a complete sentence. All right, just check your work. Make sure that you ended up with 23 squares. And if you solved it a different way, again, that's a-okay. This is just one way to solve. Now, mathematicians, I told you that we were getting started with thinking about shapes and reminding ourselves about parallelograms and triangles. We will also be reminding ourselves about other shapes too. And to do that, I'm going to send you on to watch a video that gives us a reintroduction to the names of our shapes. And you'll be able to refer back to that video as we go through the lesson if you need to. All right, so flip to the next slide and get started on watching our video about polygons.